Teaching number 233. May the light of my Spirit be with you. Disciples, who have been struggling with yourselves, who aspire to spiritual eternity, who are not satisfied with your works, prepare yourselves, for although it is true that you have not attained what your spirit yearns for, nor have you beheld the fruits of your labor, I tell you that you have achieved elevation and advancement. This you will confirm in that life which awaits you, in which you will have full knowledge of your spiritual progress. There you will feel that the love of the Master has truly permeated your being and that the feeling of charity toward those who suffer has been refined in your spirit. That will be the harvest you reap after the different reincarnations you have had. The spiritual valley will be populated by spirits of light, whose virtues will be at the service of the good and progress of humanity. Those who truly prepare themselves in this world and carry out their mission with true charity and love will not be interested in seeing the completion of their works to hear the clamor of triumph, because those who long for this still have much of the material within them and very little of the spiritual. If I have told you to give your body the importance and place it has in your destiny, I have meant that you should know how to guide it so that it becomes an instrument for your perfection, because it is your spirit that must reach me. See how simple my doctrine is in all its phases, therefore, I tell you to never try to complicate it. See how I make it easy for you to fulfill, but as I see you grasping my teaching, I cause you to feel the responsibility you acquire with it. The more ignorant a person is of my teaching, the less their responsibility. Why are there those who, having been with me, abandon me? Why do they exchange me for satisfactions that harm their spirit? And when I reach them on their path and call to them, in their ingratitude they tell me they have never seen or felt me. How quickly they have believed they have forgotten the one who walks with them step by step, the one who has accompanied them in times of trial and hardship, the one who, in those moments, has carried the tormented heart, the celestial harmony of my caress and my divine peace that says to it, "Come to me, rest in me, follow me, I am the heaven you seek." In that instant, that heart has been overcome with emotion because it has realized that humankind is not alone on its path, and a prayer of love has sprung forth from it, a prayer of thanksgiving to the Master. Is it possible that anyone could forget these proofs of my love? Is it possible that after receiving them, there is anyone who denies having felt me? You who are listening to me ask, Master, how can I know what is good and what is bad? To which I answer, I am divine justice, and as justice I manifest myself in each one of you through the conscience that is the light of my divine spirit. That is the voice of God within human beings, and since there are faculties in people that enable them to interpret and understand that voice, its calls and its judgments, they will not be able to justify that they do not know the path of good, which is the law of love and justice. What are those faculties or attributes that allow people to listen to the voice of their own guide and judge? Intuition, reason, and feelings. That is why whoever does wrong, it is not that he lacks ears to hear that voice, it is that he has closed them so as not to hear his own judgment. It is not that he does not have eyes to see the right path, it is that he voluntarily becomes blind to walk the path that he has created of his own free will. I say to you, why silence the sweet and harmonious voice of God that speaks to you through your conscience, if it always guides you with certainty along the path of good? It is often the flesh that, like a dense veil, prevents you from seeing the light of truth. That is why I tell you that you will hear that voice with complete clarity when you are finally free from matter. And that moment can be one of supreme happiness for the spirit, which has reached the fulfillment of its mission on earth, or one of infinite pain, upon realizing its faults and seeing its stains, which will make it desire a new body, as an opportunity to begin the journey anew. There, the justice of the Father, which has love as its principle, manifests itself in power, granting the spirit yet another human body in which to fulfill its destiny. Like that one, how many opportunities have I entrusted to each of you so that in time you may come to me, since as my children you belong to me. But I do not want you to come to me only through my charity and love, but also through your own merits, so that you may become worthy to possess and contemplate all the greatness of my work. Truly I tell you that there is more joy in heaven at the arrival of a converted sinner than if 100 just entered it. It is the triumph of good against evil, when the spirit fallen in darkness recovers its greatness. I come to speak to you in this way to destroy in you all those fanatical beliefs that hindered your path of spiritual evolution, because my doctrine had not been clearly explained to you by its interpreters. People, be strong in the face of pain, and when you come to understanding, you will thank me for having tested you. Come close to me and listen to me, that in my word I will sustain you spiritually. My teaching in this time has worked the miracle of raising you up in multitudes eager for light. In the silence of your heart you have listened to the Master, and before him you have rested from the long journeys, from which you bring your toil and your sorrows as your harvest. What the world is hungry for is love, peace, truth. Bring union where discord reigns, light where confusion exists, morality where sin dwells, and balm where there is pain. Then you will be the clean mirror, the mirror that is your conscience, where my divine lesson is reflected and where humanity contemplates its imperfections. Great is your destiny among humanity, therefore I have come to teach so that you do not have any stumbling blocks that would cause your brothers and sisters to judge you. Make of your body a humble servant that never stands between your spirit and mine, that it may know how to offer me the worship that belongs to it, and let your spirit elevate to me the worship that corresponds to it. Well understood spirituality will give you strength and health. Since the beginning of time, the emissaries of the law and the doctrine of the Spirit have found the scientist to be an adversary. And between one and the other great fights have been established, and the time has come when I tell you something about these controversies. I made this world to serve as a temporary dwelling for incarnated spirits, but before they came to populate it, I prepared them with the gifts of consciousness, understanding, and will. And I, knowing in advance the destiny and evolution of my children, deposited on earth, in its depths, on its surface and upon its atmosphere, all the necessary elements for conservation, sustenance, development and even recreation of humankind. But so that humanity could discover the secrets of nature as the source of life, I allowed its intelligence to awaken. And thus the principle of science was revealed to mankind, a gift of which you all possess, although there have always been people of greater capacity, whose mission has been to wrest from nature the secrets of its forces and elements for the well-being and joy of humanity. I have also sent great spirits to earth to reveal to you the supernatural life, that which is found on this nature, beyond science. And by means of these revelations, the existence of a powerful, creative, omnipotent and omnipresent universal being has been sensed, who reserves an existence for people after their death, the eternal life of the Spirit. But bringing some spiritual missions and other scientific missions, religions and science have risen up in conflict with each other at all times, always as enemies. Today I tell you that matter and spirit are not opposing forces, harmony must exist between them. My spiritual revelations are light, and so are the revelations and discoveries of science. But if you have heard me say that I greatly critical of the work of scientists, it is because many of them have taken from nature its energy, its elements, and previously unknown forces for perverse ends of destruction, hatred and revenge, earthly domination, and unbridled ambition. I must tell you that, in those who have carried out their mission with love and good intentions, in those who have respectfully and humbly penetrated my arcana, I have been pleased to reveal great mysteries for the benefit of my daughter humanity. Science, since the beginning of the world, has led humanity along the path of material progress, and at every step along the way has been finding the fruits of science, some bitter others sweet. This is the time when you must understand that all light belongs to my spirit, everything that is life belongs to my divinity, because I am the arcanum, the source and the beginning of all creation. These struggles of the spiritual against the scientific will disappear from mankind, to the point of joining spirituality to science in a single light that illuminates the path of humanity to infinity. You are preparing for that time, because spiritualism must fulfill a worldwide mission. It will be this that will reveal true life to all people. Imagine a humanity that dedicates its science and talent to its own service, that, without fanaticism or idolatry, offers pleasing worship to God, that even its pleasures are wholesome and its enjoyments healthy for both body and spirit, and you will have a new world, morally, scientifically, and spiritually elevated. The life of one's fellow human being will be respected, and one's own life will not be taken for granted, because those people will understand that they are not masters of themselves and that I alone am the master of all. Those who are to dwell in the world in those times of grace are appointed, and what was a valley of tears, a field of destruction and death, will be turned into a valley of peace. It will be a propitious time for the development and flourishing of the gifts of the Spirit. Then science will not prevail over the advancement of the Spirit, but I will grant you to the ability to penetrate even more into my arcana, where I will reveal great mysteries for the benefit of humanity. My Spirit will be delighted as always, with the good deeds of my children, whether they are spiritual, whether they are scientific or the fruits of their sensitivity to beauty. This people will prepare the way, but you, with the eyes of your body, will not see that time. From among you will not arise any so-called Redeemer, nor even a unifier of this people. It will be my word that unites and redeems you. At the end of my communication in 1950, I wish to appear in your sanctuary. There in your heart will be for me the throne of love that my people prepare for me. Do not wish me to appear on a cross, on a scaffold, or in a court of law. Do not let time erase these words so that you can form with them the great album of wisdom of your Father. Pray, speaking to me with the Spirit, since the voice of your matter does not resound in glory. While some present themselves in spirit, because they could not come together with their physical body, others present to me only with their physical form, since their spirit is far away, occupied with materiality, and I have told you that to hear me it is necessary to prepare yourself, but I want my light, like a spiritual manna, to descend everywhere upon my children. I will prepare a feast for that day, so those who live on earth and those great multitudes of spirits who live in the beyond can rejoice in it. I come to receive you before the light of the book of the 7 seals. Elijah at this time prepared the human understanding for my communication, since then you have been discovering in my work a new revelation. Some gave a fair interpretation to my teaching, others twisted its meaning, and when the time came for the people to branch out into congregations or precincts, each one acted in the way that had been taught by those who went before them. When you first began to hear my word, the number of my listeners was small. Among them were men and women, adults and children. That small gathering grew and became a people, and then I revealed to them that spiritually they were Israel, hidden and scattered throughout the world. Time passed, and the multitudes multiplied, and then I called them to congregate because I had discovered that their hearts were estranged, that there was no unity or harmony among them. My word was gloriously revealed, and my heart opened like an ark from which flowed the law and the promises. Before it the people bowed their heads and, raising their right hands, swore to follow the Father, swore to unite. Indelible was my word of that day, for it was written on the conscience of the people, just as the promise of this people was received as a new covenant before the divine Spirit. Since then you have been fighting for your union, so that there is only one light and only one worship in your hearts, but not everyone respected this pact, not everyone endorsed the ideal of unity and spirituality, and that has caused whirlwinds and hurricanes over this people, causing it to weaken at times. Today I see that while some strive to preserve the cleanliness, purity and simplicity of this doctrine, others not understanding this purity due to lack of spirituality, have been contaminating it with strange rites and with influences from various religions. I brought to the disciples of this time a doctrine which contains the essence of what Moses taught, what Jesus poured out upon humanity, and what my Spirit comes to reveal to you. But I have seen how there have been among you who have hidden my truth so that they might rise up as lords and kings before their people. If they could, they would wear a crown on their head, a mantle over their shoulders, and a scepter in their right hand, but lacking these, they humiliate their brothers and sisters and delight in receiving tributes, flattery, and praise. People come to my sanctuaries day after day, new multitudes and new disciples swell the ranks of this people. If they come to a sanctuary where my children strive to demonstrate the goodness and purity of my work, they are filled with light and glorify me. But if they come where vanity and passions dwell, they become confused and, thus confused, continue on their way. How can they halt the chaotic advance of these laborers, who go before the multitudes? How can they show the world that this is not a sect or a new religion, but the eternal law, the light of the divine Spirit made doctrine to lead mankind to the perfection of their spirits? If from the beginning you had understood the essence of my doctrine and its purpose, there would not have been so many confused along the way. You believed that your gifts were for your earthly satisfactions, and you let the light of my word go out when it reached hearts. The spokespeople have transmitted my word from the first to the last of the chambers until their throats became hoarse, so that at least the intensity of their voice arouses and impresses your hardened hearts. You have seen congregations become estranged from one another due to their differing opinions and beliefs, and you have remained unmoved, making no attempt to prevent this division. At times you want to rise up and call upon your people to teach them, but what can you teach them if you know nothing yourselves? I know that those who have suffered and struggled to demonstrate my doctrine with all clarity, are crying right now when they hear these words. They ask me for forgiveness and strength to continue in the struggle, and I give everyone forgiveness, strength and light. I bless the humble, but to those who are not, I say, be humble. Do not forget that I have compared you to the prodigal son of my parable, who after wasting his inheritance far from his father's house, when he saw his hands empty and his exhausted and naked body, returned home in search of his father's arms. He received him and made a party for the joy of having him with him again. Then that son became humble, obedient and loving towards his father, because the pain of his faults had made light in his heart. But to you, whom I have said that I have received in this time as the prodigal son, do you think it is fair that after having celebrated your arrival, having sat you down at my table and having filled you with graces, you fill yourselves with vanity and rule over my house? My word has managed to move your heart, and in it some form the purpose of improving their works and the others the purpose of amendment. Then the Master tells you, the time of purification has come, go to the bosom of your congregations and unwrap the gifts with which I have graced each one of you. It is my wish that so many imperfections and profanations cease, if you do not want to see yourselves deprived of my word before the time marked by my divinity. Analyze my words, meditate on them, and then get up with the firm purpose of amending mistakes, correcting imperfections and purifying practices. Pray and watch, there is still time to exterminate the bad seed, to sow the good one and to reap its fruit. My peace be with you. Teaching number 234.